Good morning, dear students. Welcome back to our American Studies online classroom. And today we're going to talk about one of the most defining historical accounts that shapes today's American societies, which is Civil War. This Civil War occurred during 1861 until 1865. So basically it was only 4 years, but unfortunately it took many lives. Well, as for your information, and I think you're also aware of this, that American got their independence in 1776. But right after the independence, the practice of slavery was still prevailing. So the slavery system was brought to the land of America before the independence, and the black people have been migrated from the Africa since long time back. But the practice of slavery system in the USA still occurred even after the independence in 1776. Why this practice, while this vicious practice, very cruel practice of slavery still occurred in America, is because of the main thing is about, the motive is about the economy. So basically today we're going to talk about things that caused the Civil War. First one is the economy. As we know that as one of the most emerging countries at that time, American with its 13 states, which is actually came from the 13 colonies, they got so much opportunities to develop at the time. But they were divided into two, the north part of America and the southern part of America. Well, this southern part of America, the people of the southern part of America, they still use the slavery system to help them grow their economy in terms of plantation. So the southern parts of America had so much plantation, so they needed resources to work on that plantation, which actually they used the slavery system. These slaves were very unfortunate. Even they couldn't buy property, they couldn't live freely, they couldn't vote, they couldn't exercise their rights as a human in that country, in America. And they were labeled as something, not as someone. So basically they were traded in the market, they were being traded in the street. So the situation was very deprived. The situation was very miserable, especially for those slaves who were separated from their family because, for example, their daughter, their son were sold to other masters while they had to work in other masters. So basically this black people life did not matter at that time. They were taken as properties, not as humans. So basically this slavery system was a very cruel system. But the people in the South still believed that slavery was important to their economy, for their economy. That's why they still need it. While the northern part of America, they believed that this practice was inhuman. They believed that this practice must be abolished. They believed that you can use the slave, you can free the slave. There will be no more slaves. There will be just people. What makes them different were only the skin colors. After all, they were just humans. So they believed that the sources from this slavery, their powers, could be used to work in the factory, because at the time, the northern part of America, they were more into factories. They were more into labors That means those black people who live in the factories in the northern part of America, they were they were treated fairly. They were being paid. They got homes. They could buy properties. They could live together with their families, and so on and so forth. So basically, it was the different mindsets from these two parts of the states. And in 1860, only about 25% the Southerners owned slave, and they thought that slave are essential for the economy. You have to underline that. Slaves are essential for their economy. That means if the government abolished the slavery system, they could no longer use this human power to help them grow their economy. And the Northerners opposite this idea and thought that slavery was cruel practice, as I said before, and better to use them as a labor to work in a factory, getting paid, and got their own rights, just like other citizens of America. So, because of these different mindsets, it triggered conflicts between the Northerns and the Southerns. And the second thing that caused the Civil War is the invention of the cotton gin in 1793. So basically, cotton gin is a machine that separates seeds from the cotton. So because of this invention, there have been so many plantations that opened in the southern parts of America, and they need human resources. They needed powers to cultivate the land, to cultivate everything. So that's why they needed slaves, because the owners of the plantation were mostly whites. Not mostly, but all of them were whites. And then the third factors that caused this Civil War is the states and federal rights. So after the independence, American was divided into two poles. The first pole, those who believed that state system is better than the federal system, and the other believed that the federal system is better than the state system. So I need you to understand about the state and the federal rights. So the state believes that the government must give more powers to the states to exercise, because they believe that the states know what's the problems going on in their own states, and they might have different laws from other states. While the federal states believe that in the beginning of their independence, these states must be ruled by the federal states, which can be called as the central government. So basically, like Indonesia is a republic. Indonesia uses a republic system. That means the central government in the capital city that resides in the capital city in Jakarta governs most of the laws, most of the rules in Indonesia, while the governor is actually the helper of the president. It's not the same case in the USA at that time. They believe that, most of them believe that the state system is better than the federal system, because the federal system, they thought that they couldn't answer the problems in the states, because different states has different problems, different states has different cultures. They believe so. And there also dichotomy. There were also values from different states. For example, the Northerns label themselves as the Northerns, not the Americans. It's also happened amongst the Southerns. The Southerns believe they are the Southerns. They have different values with the Northerns, while the Westerns believe they're the Westerns. They are different from the other two parts of America, which is the Northerns and the Southerns. So they have this kind of what we call as chauvinisms, the proud identity which identify you into one area of geography. And then the fourth one is the abolishment movement. So there are many prominent figures in the USA which wanted to abolish, to eradicate the slavery system. They are William Lyot Garrison and Frederick Douglass, which is one of the most popular one, and also Abraham Lincoln, which was later chosen as one of the most famous and inspiring USA president, which was being chosen as the president in 1860, and American Civil War happened in 1861. So a year after Abraham Lincoln was chosen as the president, the Civil War happened. So because of this war, at the time, the United States was divided into two. First, those states who identified themselves as the Union States, and those states who identified themselves as the Confederate States. Okay. And that's things that caused the Civil War. I want you to do some kind of assignment. Please do the assignment. You have to find out which states which belong to the Union States, and you have to find out which states that belong to Confederate States. Okay? So I think that's all for today. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll see you when I see you.